John is taking his role as man of the house very seriously. He fixes everything around the house so that his mother doesn't have to. Jane reads every romance novel she can get her hands on. She imagines it's her and Reg, and has finally reached the max level of the cooking skill. She celebrates by cooking a loaf of bread. John tries to stay active. He also hopes to see Catherine on one of his runs around town, and bakes in her spare time. Blueberry pie is her favorite, and loves to do the laundry. It gives her a sense of purpose with John doing the rest of the housework. She feels lonely and needed since her children are all grown up. John saw Catherine walking home from school one day and asked her if she'd like to go to the park with him. Catherine said she'd love to. They talked about life. Catherine said she loved the outdoors and grew up on a farm. She taught John how to fish. He had lived a privileged life and never tried it before. He admitted to Catherine that he didn't like living privileged like his mother did. John laid on the ground and looked at the sky after Catherine had to head home. He wanted to get away from the big house and people who take things for granted. John reflected by the fire. He would love to move to a farm and become a farmer and have Catherine by his side through it all. John started researching farming and gardening. He wanted to impress Catherine with his knowledge, but was really interested in learning. He was getting really good at fixing things around the house, and he liked it. While playing chess by herself, a man asked to play chess with Anne. His name is Simon. From the moment they locked eyes, she felt he saw through her soul. They stayed at the park until nightfall and watched the stars. They talked about life and even told him about her late husbands. He told her she deserved the world. She had to get back home, but she didn't want to leave Simon. At the end of the evening, Anne even stole a kiss. John asked his dad for guidance. He wanted to run away from this life, but a farm and live a carefree, happy life with Catherine. Adelaide came to visit the family. She's pregnant with her first child. She told her mother of the problems in her marriage. And was so excited to be a grandma but worried for her daughter. Shortly after Adelaide visited, Elizabeth came around too, also pregnant with her first child. Elizabeth told her mother how happy she was in her marriage, and was happy for her. Mother and daughter caught up with one another, both missing the other so much, and felt so happy, and danced at the happiness coming in her life. Jane was now almost 17. She decided to finally tell Reginald how she felt about him. Reg was over the moon that Jane felt the same way as he did. He told her that he would court her in secret while she was still his student. Jane agreed but couldn't wait to love Reg in public, and spent most of her days with Simon now. Simon wanted to court her immediately, but Anne knew better after Zachariah. They took their time getting to know one another, and fell more in love with him every single day. She knew that he was a good man. She was getting older and wanted someone to grow old with and watch her grandchildren grow up with. She knew Simon was that man. She was madly in love with him. After nearly a year of courting, Simon finally proposed to Anne. And, of course, accepted. While waiting for Anne and Simon's wedding to start, Adelaide goes into labor. The twins are still not on speaking terms. Donald was so excited for Adelaide to give birth and to be a father. The family was all together for the wedding of their mother. Reg attended the wedding to show support for Jane, surprising everyone. Jane introduced Reg as her friend. Elizabeth was nice to Reg, but the relationship disgusted her. When Reg went to the bathroom, Elizabeth let it rip. She told Jane that the relationship was inappropriate and that Reg was gross and far too old for her. Jane rebutted with telling Elizabeth that she loved him and they were going to get married, and waited for this moment since the day she met Simon. She loved him so much and was so happy to finally be husband and wife. Simon was happy to have finally found his soulmate, and he is gaining 4 incredible children. Then thought of John briefly but felt that he would have approved of Simon. She knew he was looking down on her and smiling that she was finally happy with someone, and was so happy to have her whole family here with her to celebrate such a special day. She was about to have her first grandchild. Life was great. Proudly introducing Mr. and Mrs. Simon Talbot. Both are so excited to spend the rest of their lives together. And meets her first grandchild. A girl? She was so excited to be a grandma and to be around babies again. It was Jane's birthday. And made her favorite to celebrate her daughter becoming an adult. She made a seasoned chicken that Simon brought home. Jane told her brother of her plans to wed Reginald as soon as she turns 18. John is flabbergasted but says he will support his sister no matter what. Jane could not be happier. She would be married to Reg so soon. She couldn't wait to live with him and make babies with him. Jane ages up into a young adult. A materialistic queen. Jane ran to Reginald the morning of her 18th birthday. She kissed him the moment she saw him. It felt so good to kiss him publicly. Reginald proposed to her. Jane accepted immediately. They eloped. Neither wanted a wedding, they just wanted to be together. They would explain to her family later. Right now, she just wanted to be with her love. Mr. and Mrs. Reginald Overton. Jane and Reg went to the estate to talk to her mother. Jane blurted it out and told the story very quickly. And was so angry with her daughter. She didn't approve of Reginald. He was in a position of power and took advantage of her daughter. She was heartbroken that she didn't get to watch Jane get married. Jane argued that he loves her and they were made for each other. They were already married, and there was nothing Anne could do about it. Anne yelled at Reginald. She didn't trust him and she said he wasn't welcome in her house. Reg argued that he would take better care of Jane than she ever did. Simon surprised Anne with the bush in the shape of a heart. Simon did all of the housework for Anne. Anne was starting to have back problems, so Simon helped in any way he could. He helped John with some of the housework, helping to alleviate some of his stress. John saw Catherine every day after school. They spent all their time in their special place, a spot in the woods. Every day he would gift her a rose from his mother's garden. Catherine was smitten. He was falling in love with her. He decided to finally tell her how he felt. She felt the same way. John asked to court her. She accepted. There was a subtle awkwardness in the air, neither knowing how to act around the other now. They sealed their love with a kiss. John did research on the best farms in the area. He decided that when he was of age, he was going to use his inheritance to buy a farm and get away from his privileged life. He repaired everything that needed to be repaired around the house. His last gift to his family. Anne and Simon's birthdays happened to be close to each other. They decided to celebrate their birthdays together. Simon aged up first, bring on elderhood. Our matriarch is now an elder. John decided to sit his mother down and explain his plan for when he turns 18. While Anne was sad, she told John she would support him no matter what. Anne had dinner with Simon and reiterated John's plans to him. He thought being a farmer was the perfect path for John. They discussed being empty nesters. Jane came to visit her mom, now a few months pregnant with her first baby, and apologized to her daughter. She explained that she still did not approve of Jane's relationship, but life was too short to stay angry. She wanted a relationship with her daughter and future grandchildren. Jane accepted her apology and hoped her mother would come around to the idea of accepting Reginald as part of the family. John celebrated his birthday by himself, per his wishes. Sorry guys, I don't want our heir to be a klepto. So instead we have a squeamish heir. John is bonding with his new cow, Clover. He will sell Clover's milk to make a little extra money. She is so good for John when he milks her. He has picked up the gardening skill quickly. He quite liked getting his hands dirty. He started farming the bigger crops today, and will sell them once they are in season. He's bonding with the wild animals on his land. He was not a very good cook, but was trying his best. John was so used to his mother's cooking. He likes to can some of the excess crop and preserve them. Canning he is good at cooking. Not so much. Canning made for a good snack while he was tending to the farm. The chickens pecked at him. They provided many eggs though, and for that he was grateful. His large crops were coming along nicely. They will be plentiful and lucrative once fully grown. John loved his life on the farm, but he was getting lonely. He longed for Catherine. Catherine came to visit John's farm. It reminded her of the farm she grew up on. John wasted no time with proposing. The moment he saw her again, he knew she was the one he wanted to spend his life with. Catherine hastily accepted. They planned the wedding quickly. John wanted Catherine to move in as soon as possible, and Catherine just wanted John. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. John Dickson. And reminisced of her wedding with John's father. She told him that his dad would be so proud of him if he could see him today. Catherine fit in well with the Dickson family. Elizabeth adored her. They could gossip and give each other tips. Catherine was so excited to be an aunt. She was an only child, so gaining sisters was a dream come true. Catherine is in charge of the domestic portion of the chores. Washing the clothes was hard work, but oddly satisfying. Although Catherine didn't mind getting her hands dirty and helped John when he was tired. John was warming up to the chickens. At any opportunity, the couple expressed their love. Catherine was having a great time in the kitchen. She loved to cook. She was learning new recipes daily. Catherine loved spending time with Clover. She had a cow growing up, and Clover reminded her of that cow. She showed Clover love any chance she got. After most long days, John and Catherine make love. They actually make love a lot. They can't get enough of one another. Some days, it's hard to get any work on the farm done. They make love everywhere. They cannot keep their hands off of each other. They want a big family, but right now, they are just enjoying each other. John jokes that it's a good thing that they live alone. They have dinner every night together no matter how hectic their workload is on the farm. Catherine has been feeling ill the past few weeks. Catherine knows it's something more. They've been trying. John picks up Catherine's slack around the house. Catherine has been ill for some time and doesn't have the energy to clean. John is happy to help out. He would rather Catherine, Elizabeth, and Harry had triplets. Adelaide came rushing to the farm one day in distress. She was pregnant once again, but wasn't happy about it this time around. Donald had struck her and was getting increasingly violent. John demanded she leave him. He insisted she and the kids could move in with him. Adelaide assured him that she could handle Donald. John made her promise to come get him the next time. John did a little research on family law. He wanted to make sure he could help Addie. Catherine's assumptions were correct. She was pregnant with their first baby. She broke the news to John. He was so excited that their family was expanding. John and Catherine are inviting the whole family over to share the news of her pregnancy. She had slaved away in the kitchen all morning. So many littles in the Dickson family. Donald wasn't invited to the family outing. The Dickson clan felt so blessed to have the whole family together. Adelaide was very emotional this pregnancy. John caught up with his mother and Jane. On nights when he couldn't sleep, John read books about parenting. He was so nervous to be a father. Catherine works on her chores, but it exhausts her. John insists that she take it easy, but Catherine refuses. She and John share equal responsibility on the farm. One day, she works herself too hard and induced labor. She isn't ready to give birth. She takes a nap to try to slow down contractions. She starts pushing by herself. She didn't want to bother John while he was working on the farm. John runs in as she's crowning. A girl? Jocelyn Dickson. Catherine falls easily into motherhood. She loved her daughter more than anything. After she's healed from childbirth, Catherine resumes her household chores. She fixes the sink so John doesn't have to. Being a mom makes her feel like a superhuman. Once Catherine recovered from childbirth, they got back to work. The anticipation of the first time since having their daughter added to the excitement of a mid-afternoon delight. Clover is deeply disturbed. Lol. John helped out with Jocelyn to give Catherine a break. John loved bonding with his daughter. She was the light of his life. Catherine took advantage of the break and took a relaxing bath and came to visit her son and meet her newest grandchild and was beaming with excitement. Jocelyn aged up into a toddler. She is an inquisitive little bugger. Jocelyn toddler fit check. Sorry all, need to get more CC. Catherine is a very hands-on mom. She practiced flashcards with her every single day in between housework. Jocelyn and Catherine shared a very close bond. Catherine was born to be a mom. Jocelyn's favorite thing to do was play dolls and follow mom and dad everywhere. Catherine worked on the crops for this upcoming season. She found gardening relaxing while Jocelyn was hyper and loud. It had been several years since having Jocelyn, and they've had no luck conceiving again. But that wasn't for a lack of trying. John hatched the newest chick. It was as cute as can be. Jocelyn loved to help out on the farm. She loved watching her dad interact with Clover. Catherine tried her hand at stitch work. She didn't care for it much, but it calmed her mind when it was racing. John plays dolls often with Jocelyn. She giggles at the silly voices John makes. Jocelyn loves Clover. They are becoming friends. Catherine was getting sick often, at least twice a day. John helped potty train Jocelyn since Catherine was so sick. Neither enjoyed the experience. She is indeed pregnant. This pregnancy was a lot harder on her. Simon collapsed while doing laundry and tried to revive him, but he was gone and found comfort at John's farm. John insisted that his mother move in and was happy to have her son, but she missed Simon. She absolutely loved being around her granddaughter, Pete the lovebirds, and read to Jocelyn often. The same books she would read to her own kids. Anne's time on earth was up. She lived a long life. She was grateful to spend her last days with her family. She was happy to reunite with her one true love, John. John found Anne's body. He was absolutely devastated. John would miss his mother so much. The medical examiner came to collect her body. John couldn't stop crying. He wanted his mom back. Catherine liked to read to Jocelyn. Jocelyn is super into fairy tales. John starts doing the housework to take the load off of Catherine. This pregnancy is taking so much out of her. She naps whenever possible. Catherine has to pee constantly. John is such a good husband to Catherine. She tries to cook, but it takes her so much longer to move, and her belly gets in the way of everything. While eating, contractions start for Catherine. The contractions were intense and not far apart at all. Catherine loves on Jocelyn since these are the last moments of her being the only child. John helps to alleviate some of Catherine's pain by giving her a back massage. Another girl, Penelope Dickson. John hosts a celebration of life gathering for Anne, and would be so happy to have the whole family together. He hugs his very pregnant sister Adelaide. She informs him that things are slightly better with Donald. He no longer hits her, at least while she's pregnant. It is pure chaos with so many kids running around. John catches up with Elizabeth. She is very exhausted from her triplets. The girls enjoy gossip time. Lastly, he chats with Jane. He has fallen out of touch with her recently. John and Catherine end the day with a romp. John tells her he wants to try for one more baby. Catherine agrees, but states this is their last one. Catherine taught Jocelyn to talk. She was a very fast learner. Penelope aged up into a toddler. A fussy tot. Penelope toddler fit check. Catherine slaved in the kitchen to make Jocelyn a cake for her birthday. Jocelyn aged up into a child. She is athletic. Jocelyn child fit check. Catherine teaches Penelope manners. She has trouble with it. Jocelyn is now old enough to help out on the farm. She helps feed the chickens every morning. The chickens like her. She tries to interact with the wild animals on the farm, but they want nothing to do with her. Adelaide stopped by to get advice from Catherine. She wants to leave Donald because he's starting to threaten the children. Catherine begs her to get out of there immediately for her family's safety. Jocelyn is extremely musically inclined. She practices the violin and piano during every free moment she has. Catherine goes into labor. This labor goes by much quicker than the other two. She only pushes for a few minutes. Their last baby is a boy, Abel Dickson, our 1910s heir. Catherine's family is complete. Her heart has never been so full. Jocelyn preferred playing piano rather than violin. The piano spoke to her. Knowing she wasn't having any more babies, Catherine felt like a new woman. She found herself more energized to do tasks she wouldn't normally do. She fixed the refrigerator without the help of John. She felt so accomplished. Jocelyn tried her hand at chess but didn't care for it much. Abel aged up into a toddler. Her final baby growing up so quickly was bittersweet for Catherine. Our angelic heir. 1910s heir toddler fit check. The moment of truth. Who catches the dreaded winter illness this decade? OMG, it's Catherine. I'm very upset about this one. Time to give this poor soul her fatal illness. Let's first give her symptoms. Catherine felt ill immediately. She needed to rest. She expressed to her husband how awful she felt. She told him that she had a bad feeling in the pit of her stomach about it. She tries to retain normalcy for her children. She plays with Abel but feels like she could pass out at any moment. She snuggles her sweet Penelope. While doing so, she has a coughing fit that makes her feel faint. She knew in her gut something was seriously wrong with her. She and Jocelyn speak once Jocelyn is back from school. Since Jocelyn is her oldest, she confides in her about her bad feeling. Jocelyn assured her mom that she will live forever, because the best people live the longest, like her grandma Anne. Still paranoid, she asks Jocelyn to tell her hopes and dreams. Jocelyn tells her that she wants to be a professional musician. She knows it's not practical, but she's really good. Catherine tells her that she is really good. John distracted himself from his grief of Catherine's illness. He can't deal with the fact that he won't have her for much longer. Jocelyn cried in private. She had to be strong for her mother. Catherine played dolls with Penelope one last time. She wanted Penelope to have one last good memory of her. John professed his love to his wife. He told her that she was the first woman he ever loved, and he would love her until his last breath. It was beautiful, but also so emotional for them both. While walking to the garden, Catherine collapsed. She passed away with her family panicking beside her. Rip Catherine. You will be missed, girl. Because I'm evil, we are going to go with all of the extended family as well. One of the triplets, Colette, is the unlucky victim in Elizabeth's family. Elizabeth holds Colette in her arms. Slowly, the life left Colette's body. Elizabeth let out an earth-shattering wail. Her life would never be complete again. Adelaide's youngest is the unlucky soul. Poor Juniper. Adelaide is overcome with grief. Juniper was her whole world. Without a second thought, Adelaide ends her life. She couldn't go on without her baby. Her other children were older and would be okay. Donald's grief turns him violent. He strikes both of his children. Jane's family is safe. John had to act normal for his children. He played with them and told them stories. Inside, He felt like his world has ended. The love of his life was gone, and he was empty inside. Penelope and Abel comfort each other too. Jocelyn left home. She wasn't running away, but she needed to get away. Home wasn't home without her mom. During her escape, she met a boy in a similar circumstance. His name is Nigel. He asked her why she looked so sad. She told him about her mother. He told her to look at the stars. If she could see a star, that meant her mom was smiling at her. He shared with her that his father had passed away a few years prior. She didn't know Nigel, but his words were exactly what she needed. She wanted to know everything about this boy. When John's duties on the farm were finished, he sulked to his room and allowed himself to grieve. He missed his wife dearly. He tried to relax with a bath, but nothing made him feel better. He fell into a major depression without his wife. He had to do all of the housework as well as the work on the farm. He was exhausted. Penelope took a liking to the blocks. She couldn't play dolls without her mom being there. John had a quiet birthday by himself. He didn't feel like celebrating. He didn't tell his kids of his birthday either. Penelope aged up into a child. She is a loner. Penelope loved school. She took pride in her schoolwork. John potty trained Abel. It was a strenuous process. John is getting better at cooking for the family. However, he still doesn't enjoy cooking. Jane came by the farm to help out and catch up with her brother. They also grieved the loss of their sister. Jocelyn is becoming proficient in piano. It is the one thing that still gives her joy. She wants to make her mother proud. John hated sleeping alone. He was lonely. Jocelyn introduced her dad to a woman named Harriet. Harriet is a boy at school's mom, Bernard. Harriet is also a recent widow. Jocelyn quickly realized this was a mistake. Bernard was mean to her. John was smitten with Harriet. He felt like a schoolboy again. They were going to see each other again. He tried on outfits so he could impress her. While waiting for Harriet to arrive, he fished. It reminded him of Catherine. Their outing was wonderful. Harriet was intelligent and funny. John wanted to spend all of his time with her. If he couldn't grow old with Catherine, Harriet was a great option too. asked to court her and she agreed. Abel and John have great conversations now that he can talk. John shares stories of his wife. Abel is very witty and funny. John gets back into the garden. He collects this year's crops. He works on the weeds as well. John is falling in love with Harriet. They see each other all of the time. John almost proposed to her twice but couldn't muster up the courage to do so. He wants to marry Harriet, but is still mourning the life he thought he was going to have with Catherine. John finally proposed to Harriet. Neither wanted to wait to wed, so they had an intimate ceremony on John's land soon after the proposal. It was a beautiful ceremony. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. John Dickson. Harriet did not get along with John's sisters. She made fun of Jane's formal attire and talked poorly of her mother. She was rude and terrible to John's loved ones. She even threw a drink at Elizabeth. Elizabeth was livid. She yelled at John and told her that Harriet was not the right woman for him. John defended his new wife, saying that they probably just got off on the wrong foot. Harriet took her anger out on the stuffed animal. John's sisters left angrily. John didn't want to spoil the wedding night, so they scurried away to the barn. They had a wedding night romp in the hay. John makes a birthday cake for Abel.
Everything. Then one day you just got up and left.
It is bittersweet that his youngest is about to be a child.
I bet he's like a masterpiece. And I bet he's
Time
got a
has
bigger
flown
cock.
by.
Twice my height and built like a rock. I need to ditch all these
He wishes
intrusive
Catherine
thoughts.
could be here to witness
One more
Abel's
deep
birthday.
and I'm all out of love. But I'm not sad about it. It's clear that
Happy
you're a
birthday to
scoundrel.
our 1910s
You're
heir.
out of my league, and it's clear to see we were never meant to be. You asked me if I'd write a tune
Abel is
to
an
tell
active
you how much
child.
I
Our
love
child
you.
fit check.
Then you went off with some dude. I did a Taylor wrote a song about it. I hope he gives you all you want, 'cause I feel fucking miserable. You asked me if I'd write a tune, so I wrote one to
John
say
is fixing the house in preparation of
I
his
wish
sister
I
coming
knew what
over.
was coming next. I'm one wank away from having no
John
sex.
begs for his
Think I'll
sister's
put my heart
forgiveness.
to
He
the
personally
test.
has not seen his wife's
And I'll find
hostility,
the
but his
only
sister
woman
has
who can
never
break my
lied to
heart
him
next.
before. Jane
But
forgives him
least
but says she
she'll
does
buy me
not
things.
want to be around Harriet. Jocelyn is finding interest in the violin once again.
I'm due a new TV, so I think maybe she'll be the one for me. And I'll be
John and
proper
Harriet
proud
love to
about
show
it.
affection to one another.
Friends would be so jealous of the yummy mummy special.
Jocelyn is
I won't
aging
be
up
too
into a
loud
teenager.
about it. Shit, I'll keep it super private. You asked me if
She
I'd
is a
write
cat lover.
a tune to tell you how much I
Her
love
aspiration is to be a
you.
musical
Then you
genius.
went off with some dude. I did a Taylor wrote a song about it.
Harriet goes over to an old associate of her late husband's house. His name is Samuel Pearson. He comes from wealth, and Harriet would like to propose a deal with him.
I got my
Her daughter, Addison, is almost of marrying age and she would like Samuel to ask for her hand. Samuel thinks it's a great idea to keep their families connected. Harriet goes home to the farm and tells Addison of her plan. At first, Addie is reluctant. Her mother then tells her that he is wealthy, and she changes her tune. Addison tentatively agrees as long as she likes what she sees. Harriet is pregnant. She is unhappy about this as she will be 40 by the time it's born. Harriet invites Samuel over to have the potential couple meet. Samuel is more inclined to talk to Harriet than Addison. Neither Samuel nor Addison seem particularly thrilled about the match. When Samuel leaves, Addison complains to her mother that he is far too old to be her husband. Jocelyn and Nigel skip school to spend time together. She finally tells him that she had a crush on him and has for years. He tells her that he has liked her since that first night they met. They speak how both were too scared to tell the other and risk ruining their friendship. Jocelyn told Nigel she wanted him to be hers forever. He said he would like that. They sealed their newfound love with a kiss. They were now promised to each other. Jocelyn thought of the family they would one day have together. She was happy. She told her stepmom of the relationship. Harriet yelled at Jocelyn. She told her Nigel didn't come from money and therefore will not be marrying her. She would find a suitable man with money for her to marry. Jocelyn complained to her father. She thought it was absurd to marry for money. John agreed with his daughter. He told her of the love story between he and her mom. Addison psyched herself up in the mirror. She didn't want to disappoint her mom, so she wanted to give Samuel another chance. Jocelyn has nearly perfected the piano skill. She only plays love songs now. Samuel came to the farm to speak with Addison. She was surprised how easy it was to speak with him when her mother wasn't around. They have a similar sense of humor and both want a big family. Addison has changed her mind about Samuel. She actually likes speaking to him. She may want to marry him after all. She found him very attractive for a man of his age. Abel met a girl named Caroline at school. They didn't really like each other. Caroline was mean to him, but he thought she was pretty. Jocelyn was invited to Nigel's home to meet his mother. It was there that Nigel and Jocelyn exchanged promise rings. They agreed to marry after they both finished school. Jocelyn told her stepmom that she will be marrying Nigel when they are of age. She told Harriet that there was nothing she could do about it, and they were in love. Harriet screamed at Jocelyn. She told her that she forbade it. Jocelyn walked away, and Harriet struck her. It is Addison's 18th birthday. She spent her birthday marrying Samuel. She still wasn't fully sold on marrying him. However, she feels as though she can grow to love him. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Samuel Pearson. Harriet was enraged about this pregnancy. She hated children. She took her anger out on Penelope. She demanded that Penelope do all of the farm work that her dad couldn't manage. Penelope said she would rather read and do schoolwork. Harriet struck her and told her to obey her. Bernard aged up into a teenager. He is a snob. His aspiration is to be friend of the world. Jocelyn was determined to be the perfect housewife for Nigel. She read every book on parenting and cooking that she could. She daydreamed often of a life with Nigel and away from Harriet. Penelope was heartbroken about her dollhouse. Someone or an animal keeps destroying it. John rebuilds it every time. Harriet goes into labor. It's a girl. Belle Dickson. Harriet only breastfeeds Belle. She lets the rest of the family do the rest. She didn't want to be around Belle. Jocelyn does all of the housework because Harriet refuses to. She did everything on top of school, so she was always exhausted. Every free moment, she reads to help her become the best wife. The culprit is Harriet. Belle ages up into a toddler. She is energetic. Penelope meets a boy at school. She really liked talking to him and was confused when her friends told her not to talk to him. It made her sad. Jocelyn teaches Belle how to talk since Harriet will not. She has sort of become a mom to Belle. Belle views her as a mother figure. Harriet traveled to her late husband's assistant's house. He offered his son to marry Jocelyn. Harriet brings a suitable boy for Jocelyn to marry. His name is Warren. Jocelyn immediately makes a scene. She belittles him and says she would never marry him for all the money in the world. Warren responds with the same negative energy. Warren told her bitch wasn't his type. Bernard introduces himself to Warren. The two got to talking. Bernard felt a twinge in his stomach that he never felt with a girl. He felt conflicted about this. Warren seemed receptive to his flirting. They agreed to see each other again. Addison stopped by to visit her mom. She is pregnant with her and Samuel's first child. Harriet is overjoyed that her plan has worked. Warren came over often. Harriet approved because she thought it held out hope Jocelyn would come to her senses. Bernard was elated about his budding relationship. He could talk to Warren about anything. He wrote in his journal about his relationship. He couldn't tell anyone, so his journal was his sanctuary. Bernard wrote about their relationship in great detail. After everyone went to sleep, Warren would sneak over to the farm. They got to spend time more intimately after dark. Bernard finally took the next step and kissed Warren. It felt right being with Warren. They agreed to date in secret. Bernard updated his journal about his official relationship. He was so happy but felt so guilty for not being honest about who he was. Bernard was having a rough time coming to terms with being gay. He hated lying to his family. One day after Bernard left for school, Harriet snooped through his journal. At first she was happy that Bernard had a crush. As she continued reading, she realized that he was talking about Warren. She was appalled that she raised someone so disgusting and immoral. Penelope is aging up into a teenager. She is mean. Her aspiration is to be both smart and handy. Penelope is a bookworm. She reads constantly. Her family never sees her without a book in her hand. Jocelyn plays piano when she is upset. It helps her get her feelings out. She has perfected the piano skill. Go, Jocelyn, go. Penelope and her father play chess together often. Penelope usually wins, but sometimes lets John win. John knows she's letting him win, of course. Harriet waits until the next time Warren is over to attack. She screams at her son that he is an abomination. She punches Warren square in the jaw. She says that he's not even good enough for Jocelyn now. She says his family should be ashamed of him. Harriet invites over a girl she has seen at church. Bernard is annoyed at first, but warms to her. Her name is Bridget. She is really nice and intelligent. Bernard would like that in a suitor. Bernard feels as though he can trust Bridget. He tells her of his relationship with Warren. She is shocked but supportive. She agrees to keep his secret while publicly dating Bernard. Jocelyn now has to sneak over to see Nigel. Harriet won't let her out of the house unless for school. She missed Nigel so much. She missed his smell and his touch. She couldn't get enough of him. Although it would be frowned upon, they take their relationship to the next level. It was beautiful and everything Jocelyn hoped it would be. Jocelyn is still in charge of the chores. Nigel came to the farm to speak to John. He introduced himself. He said that he was aware of the situation with Harriet. John interrupted him and he said that he did not feel the same way as his wife. He told John that he was in love with his daughter. Nigel then asked for John's blessing to marry Jocelyn. John gave his blessing. John said he would be very happy to have a man like Nigel be with his daughter. Jocelyn noticed that Nigel is at the farm and goes to investigate. They speak for a few minutes, but neither tell her why he's there. Jocelyn is a sim life Cinderella. Belle aged up into a child. She is a music lover. She will focus on the arts. Penelope has the chicken pox. She takes medicine to help. Bernard gives himself a pep talk. He doesn't want the world judging him for being gay, so he wants to act straight. He tries to mirror how his stepdad acts. Our dear Elizabeth passed away, sad face still. Abel is aging up into a teenager. You know what that means? We are now in the 1910s. Abel is a vegetarian. His aspiration is to have successful lineage. Air fit check.